Interesting. So it's almost like it's utility that grants it the goodness or badness, essentially. And a kind of a way that I've thought about kind of, I guess, morality before being objective is almost, and this is kind of for those more into kind of tech stuff, is kind of when you kind of action a line of code in a program, it could be even Microsoft Word or whatever it is. Basically, that's going to go and look at a database table, kind of work out kind of where these kind of subsets sit, and then it's going to kind of initialize those two things together, kind of point to it, go, yep, that's correct, and then kind of move on with its next action and line of code. And I kind of view sometimes, I don't know if this is helpful, sometimes morality is that as we perform actions, there is something that's outside of ourselves that we reference to know whether the thing we are doing is good or bad. But then there's kind of a challenge within this kind of view, something you've spoken to about with William Lane Craig around kind of almost the discovery of that database table, or the discovery of morality. We could use something like slavery as an example. Obviously, most people around the world today, not everybody sadly, but most think that slavery is abhorrent. That hasn't always been the case, and still isn't the case in certain circumstances in certain parts of the world. How would you begin to kind of, I guess, pick apart and kind of defend the idea that kind of, even though it is discoverable, morality can still be objective? Like, where would you begin to go down that road?
Yeah. So I guess one thing I would say there is, I think the idea of morality being discoverable, kind of how to put it, that idea that it's discovered rather than say created, I think fits nicely with the idea that it is objective. So if we think that as humanity sort of increasingly comes to believe that slavery is wrong, that morality isn't really changing, but rather our beliefs are getting closer to the truth. It's a discovery rather than a changing of morality. I think that way of looking at it fits best with the idea that the morality is to some extent objective. It's sort of on the model of as human beings sort of move from thinking that the earth is flat to thinking that it's round, the shape of the earth is not changing. We're just getting closer to the truth. It's a discovery of the correct shape of the earth. So I guess that's one point I would want to make. Morality as the idea of moral discovery, I think fits best with morality being objective. And then I guess another question is like, I suppose related is like, how does this discovery occur? Or you might flip it around and like, what was the problem? Like, what was sort of wrong with people when slavery was, as in many past civilizations, has been widely practiced. And I think in the particular case of slavery, the answer really kind of takes us into psychology, in particular this phenomenon that's called dehumanization. And there's one scholar in particular who has done a lot of work on dehumanization. His name is David Livingston Smith. He's got at least 2 books on dehumanization. And the basic idea is if you want to engage in slavery and see yourself as being justified in doing so, the sort of mental trick you've got to pull off is to convince yourself that the people you're enslaving are not truly people. They're not genuinely human, but rather even though they might appear to be human, their inner nature is a sort of subhuman essence or something like that. So that their true nature is different from that of real human beings, which of course includes, you and your friends or city state or whatever ethnic group, as the case may be. And so I think in that case, what really has happened is the sort of scam of dehumanization has been exposed. And it's just gotten harder for people to sincerely engage in this kind of dehumanization. What the true discovery is, I mean, I could put it this way. I think everybody would agree it's wrong to enslave persons or human beings or something like that. And maybe that principle hasn't really changed. What's changed is the recognition that, all human beings are persons. And so that's actually where the discovery lies, the extending or the recognition that this inner essence of humanity really includes all of Homo sapiens rather than just a particular in-group or ethnic group. For like the Greeks, for example, notoriously divided Homo sapiens into like the Greeks and the barbarians, and only the Greeks were real persons. And I think what's been recognized is that frankly is kind of silly. And you have a similar story with along racial lines, like in the American South, for example. So I think in that case, what you might call the discovery is really the discovery that we're all human beings and have the same basic nature, and the sort of it's become less and less plausible or feasible to sort of get away with dehumanization, if that makes sense.
If you enjoyed this clip, then head on over to Locals to access the full conversation right now. Supporters can access the video version, and everyone can access the audio-only version of the conversation. I'll see you over there.